Poltergeist 2 and 3 on Collector's Edition Blu-ray from Scream Factory. These are coming out next week, I believe, so before they come out, let's get a quick look at them right here on the channel. I want to make sure I was very equipped for this review before I did it, so I went back and watched my old Warner Brothers copy of Poltergeist, and I watched the, well, let's be honest, I didn't watch the remake again. In 1986's Poltergeist 2 The Other Side, we kind of renege a little bit on the plot from the first one, as not only was there bodies underneath the house now, but apparently those bodies belong to an evil cult led by Julian Beck's character Kane, who actually becomes one of the more iconic characters in the whole Poltergeist series. This time around, the family's at a different house, and things seem to be okay until Kane shows up, and that sets off a whole chain of events that brings us right back into the thick of things with the family. Also added in this time is a medicine man by the name of Taylor, played by Will Sampson. That, again, is another pretty interesting character. I would say it's a step down from the original one because we have no Tobe Hooper as director, and we have no Steven Spielberg pulling the strings behind. But still, the film manages to keep that same Poltergeist vibe, although you would say it isn't quite as effective as the original one, although it is still very effective. We have good effects. I think we have a good ending. And as a matter of fact, we probably would have had a good closer to the whole entire franchise if they just wanted to do a 1-2 punch. But besides that, you can't really complain. It's solid. And some people might actually remember this one more than they actually remember the first one if you want to get down to details about it. The transfer here is a new 2K transfer. As you can see from the extras list right here, it's a new 2K scan of the inner positive, new audio commentary for writer-producer Michael Gravis, is that right? New audio commentary with webmaster of the Poltergeist fan site David Furtney. New Robbie's Return, an interview with Oliver Robbins. The Spirit World, an interview with special effects designer Richard Edlin. Steve Johnson and Screamin' Mad George. Ghost of a Ginger. Or is that a Geiger? Can someone tell me? A look at the contributions of artist H.R. Geiger, featuring rare photos and illustrations and interviews with friend and agent Les Barony. Theatrical trailers, TV spots, and still gallery. As you can see here, this is a pretty nice looking package here for Poltergeist 2. It has brand new art that looks pretty doggone awesome. And for you purists out there, when you crank her open, if you just want to keep the slip and go old school, it does pack the original art underneath. "1988's Poltergeist III is a whole other animal of sorts because Heather O'Rourke and Zelda Rubinson is the only original cast members returning, as apparently everybody from the first one kind of figured that they'd already done 2 of these, so that was enough. And making matters even worse, you don't even have the medicine man. So it's a bit different this time. You know, Carol Ann, she's living with her aunt and her uncle in this big old high-rise, like, you know, apartment setting type building. I don't know what you want to call it, but there's this doctor, and he's supposed to be looking at Carol Ann, you know, and he don't believe none of the stuff that she's been talking about. So that kind of brings back Kane. But now Kane is played by a different person because I believe the original person that played Kane had passed away before they actually got around to doing the film. Now, she's living with Aunt Patricia, played by Nancy Allen, and Uncle Bruce, played by Tom Sturlett, however you pronounce that. He's a good actor. You guys know who I'm talking about. And so is Nancy Allen, although this character is kind of bad because she rarely speaks good of Carol Ann. She seems like she doesn't really like Carol Ann, and you wouldn't really believe that she's the blood relative out of the two because Bruce kind of acts more like he cares about Carol Ann than she does. So that's a little bit odd. Plus, I have a hard time believing that Carol Ann's parents would just send her off to some school, even if it is for the gifted. After what they've been through in the first 2 films, it just doesn't seem like something they would do. I understand why they had to do it, but at the same time, I often wonder if maybe they'd been better off if they just went a different route. Maybe had Heather do a cameo of some sorts, kind of pass it on to somebody new, because it just seems kind of forced. Even if, believe it or not, at times this weird film kind of gives us off some kind of odd Italian type vibe, if that makes any sense. I also do think that the ending falls pretty flat. There is some nice effects besides that, but there isn't much you can say about it, although it is pretty funny that Laura Flynn Boyle is actually playing Carol Ann's cousin, and she's playing the role of Donna, and no, not that Donna, but that's still a funny coincidence nonetheless. Again, this release has some pretty good extras. We got the new case scan of the Interpositive, new audio commentary with director Gary Sherman, new audio commentary with webmaster of the Poltergeist fan site David Furtney, new High Spirits, an interview with screenwriter Brian Taggart, new Reflections, an interview with actress Nancy Allen, new Mirror Images, interview with effects creator John Gallargone Jr., theatrical trailer, TV spots, and still galleries. Like you say, very, very nice put together package for a very subpar sequel to Poltergeist, which would apparently kind of end up being the last real Poltergeist sequel due to the untimely death of Heather O'Rourke, who, of course, played Carol Ann, who passed away before this film was even done. This does feature the alternate ending that has her in it before they went back and did another ending. And the ending they actually uses, you can kind of tell it's a stand-in, so it falls really, really flat, in my opinion. All in all, I would say these are very good releases from Scream Factory. They improve upon the transfers from the old ones, if you guys had the old double feature one. Poltergeist 2 is still a step back from Poltergeist 1, but I think it's still pretty decent. Poltergeist 3 is probably one of those you're just going to own because you want all the Poltergeist movies, because outside that, there's really hardly any redemption value whatsoever, I think, to it, although this is a good release. And it does come with the mentioned alternate ending that was very rumored that nobody had actually seen, I think, up till this point.